Welcome everybody to class. We're very excited to have you guys here. As Lisa was just asking if we are going to be doing those hybrid classes. Yes, we are. We are working on it. So we are getting a new camera in there so we get great experience where we can get Lisa or any of our instructors in the classroom so you can be there. Or if you're like some of us who don't exactly live close to the office and don't want to take that drive time, or when it's going to be snowing or something, we can just do it by webinar. So that's the real exciting thing. So I'm also excited that Lisa is doing our Realist class, it's our public records class, which you can find those all under the tax records. It's Realist and BS&A, both very products. I'll be in the background answering any questions. Just to let you know, on that GoToWebinar panel, if it is collapsed already, if you want to open that up, I've got 3 different handouts in there. And those are, geez, I just put them in yesterday. What are they? It's the BS&A integrations, Realist, our new Find More Listings with the Realist score. So I've got the cheat sheet in there on how to do that. And then, of course, Realist, the tax search handout, that full one that Lisa did for us. It covers everything because Lisa's going to cover a lot of ground on this class. And you'll be like, what did she say? How did she do that? So go ahead and download those handouts right there. They are also found in the MLS documents at the very top of your Paragon login there. So that's where they are. So if Lisa, you want to go ahead and take over that screen, I'm going to stop sharing.
Perfect.
You'd think I've got this down after the years that we've been doing this.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to go ahead and get you started. We're going to start off in Paragon. We're going to go through BS&A today and Realist as well. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. You can type it in our chat box, and Debbie's there, and she'll go ahead and either stop me and answer the question, or she may be able to just answer the question as well. And then I will stop in between as well to see if there's any questions. But there's a lot we're going to go through today. The idea of Realist is for tax records. Now, Realist is a third party. They do get the information from city sites, put everything into their site, and then you're able to retrieve the information there. If you find there's not a lot of information, that means the city does not have a lot of information that they were able to get, Realist was able to retrieve from there and post it on their site. So sometimes it's limited data, but I always check Realist and I always check BS&A, because BS&A is your actual city sites. It will take you to the city with all the tax information. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so you can see a full screen for me. And I'm going to take you into Paragon. And in here, we're going to start off with a listing. So there's 2 ways to get into Realist and BS&A. If you look at the top of your screen, you have a tax button here at the top, and you'll see there's Realist Tax Search, and on the right, there's BS&A Online. But right now, we're going to go through with a listing. So we're going to open up a listing, and I'm going to take you through the shortcut on the listing into each of these sites. So if you have a property you'd like to run a search on with Realist, you are welcome to type that property address at the top. If not, you can use one of mine. This one closed already, but it's 21315 John, John. So if you go ahead and type that in, and as you're typing it in, it should pull up a list for you, and it should be the top one. It's the most recent closed. Okay, once you have that open, click on it. It should open up a full listing report for you. And if you look on the left side of your screen, if you have the Legacy Full Agent Report open, it will be on the left, all these icons. If you have an agent detail with map, they should be in the center area. And what we're doing is we're looking for, there's 2 icons. I want to show you the BS&A one, which is right here. It's a dark blue. It's supposed to be a pillar. It reminds me of a garbage can, but it's supposed to. If you click on this, it'll take you into BS&A and pull the information on this property for you. The other one we want to look for is going to be our Realist. So if you go to the red icon, it should be in the middle somewhere. Click on that. That's going to take us into Realist. So go ahead and click on Realist and give it a second to load. Perfect. Okay. So once it's loaded, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. It will pull up the property address at the top, owner information. So you'll see the owners on here, the location, subdivision, legal. Scroll down a little further. You'll get some tax information. Taxes, as far as your winter tax bill, your summer tax bill should be here on the right. It will show your assessments for the last 3 years. Go down a little bit further. any characteristics it has. One thing I'd like you to notice, if you see, for example, if you have My Listing open, basement type, you can see it says tax and then MLS. When you see this, that means that tax records show it's a full basement, MLS records show it's a basement. So again, it's the same here, but sometimes I see a difference with number of bedrooms. Or actually, if you look down here under total baths, tax is showing only 3. They have one in the basement, it's a half bath, so there's actually 4. So you can see right here, there's a difference. So always watch for that, because if you see a difference there, you might want to confirm that you have the correct information. Okay, if we scroll down further, it does give you that sell score, whether or not they feel these people will sell. Well, it's to me, these, I guess they might have some good information for you, but just looking at this, for example, rating high, I just closed on this. The people just bought it. So the fact that it's rating high, that they're willing to sell right now, I don't feel is true. So again, it's, whatever numbers they're getting, stats they're getting, and they're using this. I'm not quite sure how the numbers come through, but down a little further is listing information. So you can see the last listing, which was mine, and it was a status date, the list date, and our list price. And it shows also the selling agent information and my information as well. If you go down a little bit further, we have the last market sales and sales history. This to me is very important, because if there has been a foreclosure or sheriff sale, I can see this information in here. So it should show you recording dates, document dates of, this was just a warranty deed for the last one. But if you go down further, you could take a look and see, has there been a foreclosure on the property? Under there is mortgage history, which again, this is great information. It will show you the last mortgage that was taken out, and it'll show you the mortgages prior to that as well. So you can see if there's a credit line. And this is really helpful for 2 things. First of all, for your sellers, because sometimes there's a lien that's been paid off and is still showing on a tax record. So that's really important. For your buyers, it's great, because if they're trying to negotiate on price, you can take a look and see, well, do they have a high mortgage? They'll kind of give you an idea of how negotiable they may or may not be. It doesn't show the current balance, but it shows when the mortgage was taken out. Okay, so that's the information on your tax information on this property. Now, if you go back to the very top left of your screen, you have 3 options up here: Launch Realist, Comparables, and Neighbor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my comparables. I'm going to run an actual CMA in here. Now, there's some benefits to running a CMA in here, and there's some features that I'd like changed. The big benefit is that this is pulling tax records. That means all your for sale by owners should be in here. So if you're having a hard time finding comps, just running them in Paragon, you're only pulling MLS data through Paragon. This is going to pull those for sale by owners. So this may help you when you're having a tough time finding comparables. The one thing that I'm not really fond of is when it does your report, it shows all the interior photos of your subject property, but it only shows the front view of all your comparables, where I feel that it's necessary for my clients to see the interior, because it's easier for them to understand why the pricing is very similar to this house or not similar at all. So I do find that it does have some good points, but I tend to run this and I run my Cloud CMA at the same time. Okay, so go ahead and click on comparables and give it 1 minute to load. It's going to take a second here. You're going to notice at the top of your screen, will be on their dashboard, and we're going to be able to customize it's going to automatically pull results. We're going to customize those results in a second once we get this to load. Again, takes a second. There's a lot of information it's retrieving. So what I'm looking for is your search criteria, and there's a customized view, but we're going to start off with search criteria. So if you notice, again, you've got a map here. It gives you some statistics here on the right, but below it's pulled all these stats for you. So again, you're wondering how is this pulling it? Well, it automatically has a default, just like Paragon does for search. So let's go to our search criteria on the top right of your screen. So click on search criteria up here on the right, and it's going to show you what it's been searching, and we can make changes as we go. So let me explain these. First thing is, how many comparables do you want to see? Maximum is 50. Mine's set at 30, but again, you can go up to 50 if you'd like. Your sort method. So the sort method will be, which ones do you want to see first? So do you want them closest to the square footage of your property, your subject property, the closest distance to your subject property, the most recent sale, by sale price? So you go ahead and select whichever one you'd like. Mine is by square footage, but again, you can move that around. Do you want to include your property images, which of course you want to include those? Do you want the value projected by assessment? So that's giving you one of those automated values. So there's one by assessment, there's one by square footage, and it's also giving you your real AVM. So that's your automated value model. So that's giving you a price, and it's using the information from the sales, from tax records, MLS records, and giving you an approximate number. If you don't want these showing up, just go ahead and click on any one of these and it will turn it off for you. So you can toggle back and forth. I'm keeping everything on just so you can see what it looks like. Next thing is your pool. So does it have a pool? This does not. So you can leave it as no preference. Distance from your subject property. Usually I go about a mile away. If you're in an area that's more rural, not a lot of comparables nearby, you may want to go out. You can go up to 10 miles. So you can go out a little bit further. We'll go a mile and see what we get. Your sale price, you can actually put a sale price minimum and maximum amount. So if you know in that area there's a lot of homes that sold really low, they might have been foreclosure, not updated, older, this is new construction, whatever it might be, you can set, a minimum price so that way you're not pulling all those other ones. If you scroll down further, you have an option for your year built, your bedrooms, your bathrooms, stories. Now it does give you an option for 1 or 2 stories. It does not give you an option for 1.5. So I usually leave this open if I have a split level, because you may not pick up if you put just 1 or if you put 2. So I usually just keep this open. This property is a colonial, so I could put on there 2-story and 2-story, just so I can get rid of those ranches if I'd like. Under there is your tax and distress sales. We want to include all tax sales. Distress would be your foreclosures, or your REOs, your short sales. I want to include everything. I want to see foreclosures, short sales. I want to see those for sale by owners as well. Your boundaries. So if this is by water, if this is by your subdivision, actually that's going to be the next one, your preferences. It's going to give your subdivision, zip code, city, municipality. So if you want to be more specific, and sometimes I keep a lot of these open to see how many results and then come back and readjust. But if you want them just in that zip code or just in that sub, you can. Your site influence will be your water properties, by an airport, bayfront, beachfront, whatever it might be. I'm going to keep that no preference as well. My date type, it's going to be I like by sales date. You can do by recording date, but we know that our recording dates sometimes take a while before the county gets to it. Search time period up to a year back. So right now I've got mine at 12 months. If you want to go less time, just because the market's been a little busy, you can go just for this year. You can also put a date range in as well. Your square footage. So how would you like them to search for properties compared to your subject property? I like to do the same thing that appraisers do, and they usually do a percentage of difference of lower from the subject property per square footage and higher of the subject property square footage. And I've had appraisers tell me typically 20% is what they go above and below. So I've kept mine set up at that. Lot area, same thing. You can set up a preference. Again, if there's no acreage, this really won't make much of a difference. And one thing it does is give you acreage. So I usually keep it at 20% difference, or you can just put none. I mean, it's a subdivision. There isn't really acreage in that area, but you can put none, or, again, you can put a percentage of difference. A little bit further down, land use. So you have land use and you have style. So just like Paragon, we have structure, style, and style. You always want to use land use, not style. The reason being is that style is going to give you those bungalow, Cape Cod, and it doesn't always find the properties, where this will tell you single family residence, mobile home. So this is where you want to make sure that you select same as subject and single family or condo. If you use style for condo, you will not find any results. So make sure that you're using your land use. Okay, so now you have 2 options. You can submit it. So it's going to save these changes just for this search, or you can hit save and submit, and this will make it a default. So if this is the search you want to use every single time, you can save it. There's also another area to save it, which we'll look at afterwards. So go ahead and submit that, whichever way you would like, and give it a second to reload. Okay, so it should have changed your results here. So this is actually going to show you those properties as well, and their numbers. So you can see the numbers will go in hand with your list below. Zoom back out a little bit here so you can see my screen a little bit better. Okay, so You'll notice here that you have, I've got, how many popped up? I probably have all 30 came in. So with each one of these properties, you'll have a check mark on the top, on the left side of your screen. So that means it's including these in your report. If you don't want to include them, it's easy. You can just uncheck them. If you know right away just by looking at them, you can uncheck them from here. Otherwise, you can view each one of these and take a look at the photos and then decide if this is a good comparable or not. And that's typically what I do. So your first one is going to be your subject property. So my second one here on Crescent, if I go ahead and left click, double click on it, it will load that listing information for me. And you can see here at the top, I'll have a photo. Now, if you see a front view, typically it's an MLS listing and there might be more photos. So if you left click on it, it should open up if there's additional photos. It looks like this one does not have any additional photos. And it will give you all the information here. At the top, your basics, your how many bedrooms, sale price, sale date, square footage, and so forth. And then it's going to give you the same information we saw earlier on the subject property. So owner information, location, tax information, your assessments, your characteristics of the house, anything it can find. Again, watch for this if it has two different things from MLS and taxes, which you can see here, total baths. And again, this is probably a situation, sometimes it's a basement bath, or sometimes the city's not showing the second bath for some reason. Go down further, it's going to give you your self-score indicator again, and then it will give you listing information, sales information as well, and your mortgage history. Okay, so if this is still a good comp, I can keep this check marked here as well, top right corner of my screen, include in comparables, or I can uncheck it from here as well. If I want to move on to the next from here and still view each one individually, you can click the arrow here in the middle, top middle of your screen. I have one of 32, so if I click on that, it's now going to load the second one. So again, if I was doing a report, I would actually be going through each one of these individually to look at the photos and so forth. But since I'm not, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back and just uncheck some of them just because of the timing that we have in the class and with all the information we have to go through. So I'm going to go to the top right of my screen. If you look here, it says property details on the left. If you look all the way to the right, there's an X. Just click this X, not your whole page, just the X on this page. And it's going to take you back to your dashboard. And this is where we want to be. Okay, so from here, if you want to go ahead and take a look at the listings and just pull some out, since this was mine, I kind of know what are good comparables. So I'm going to remove some of these lower priced ones. So my 300s are coming out. And it sold in the 500, it was 545, I believe. So I'm going to remove some of these really low comps. And I just want to keep some enough here for my report. So let's see. This one. Let's do this. Now, each one of these columns, this is like an Excel spreadsheet, and you can sort them by column. So if I go, for example, which would be a lot easier to do this, go by sale price. And if I click on sale price, it's going to sort this now by price. So right now it's low to high. So I can remove all of those low ones real quick. And this is an easier way to go. If you click it again, it'll go from high to low. So we'll keep all that in there. Keep some of these high ones over here. Looks like it gave me additional ones in here that I don't want either. So we'll keep my 500s in here. There's quite a bit. So I'm going to remove all my 4s. And again, you can always go back to your search criteria and modify it again. I mean, I had quite a bit of results in here, but you could just go back to the top of your screen to the right, hit search criteria, and put in a minimum price, for example, and that will remove all these low priced ones. Okay, so once you've got a handful in your selections for your comparables, then we can go ahead and generate a report. So you're going to look at the top right of your screen, and where the search criteria tab is, if you go to the left of that, you have one that says generate report. Go ahead and select that. We're going to give it a second here to load. Okay, so this is going to give you a full preview of what your report's going to look like. So first thing is the search criteria you use will be here at the top. Your stats will be just below it. And then each of the properties will be below that. So you have your subject property as the first one, and then it's going to give you each of your comparables. Now, as you look at these, they will show you your MLS sold price and a sale price. So what it's telling you here is in the MLS, it sold for this price, and then the sale price showing in tax records. If you find a property that only has a sale price but not an MLS sold price, that means it was a for sale by owner. So it's not showing in the MLS as sold for that. So there's an arrow here on the right. It's kind of buried just underneath your last photo. If you click on that, it actually loads each one. So if there's another one in here, which looks like all of these were listed in the MLS, you might be able to find one in your list. Okay. So, and again, you want to look at anything that says tax and MLS records. So again, this one says bathrooms, tax is 3. There's actually 4 because of the basement bath. So you can see there's a few others like that as well. If you look at the top of your screen where it says comparables, you've got the property address. There's a tab that says comparables. To the right of that, the next tab, and these are the tabs that will be in your report, is market trends. Go ahead and select market trends. Now we're going to get into some statistical information. So this will give you a market overview, and then it gives you these graphs. Now, if you notice in the graphs, it's going to say, for example, this one's median sale price, but in parentheses, this is tax. So this is pulling just tax records and giving you statistics on tax records. The next one down is giving you the stats on MLS records. So you'll notice that as you go through these. Is this something that your client needs? Again, it's up to you. These sections can be removed when we create the actual final report, which I'll show you. So after your stats, if you go back to the top of your screen, we're going to go to the right of market trends. We now have neighbors. Go ahead and click on your neighbors tab. So this is automatically pulling all the neighbors around your subject property. You can see the black dot here is my subject property, and all these blue ones are some of the neighbors. It's loading them at the bottom, just like we did in the beginning of our report with our comparables. So you'll see them down here. What it's doing is pulling all the neighbors around the house and telling you the last sales record it's showing. So these are going to go far back on some of these. For example, this one here is showing 2005 is the last recording of a sale. So this is just going to give you information on what the neighbors have sold or paid for their homes. So if you go through here again, it's going to pull whatever number you've chosen, and this is again has a default setup for you. And if you go back to the top of your screen again, to the right of neighbors, we have neighborhood profile. Some more stats. Okay, so this one is going to give you different stats than the other. The other was giving you about the market. This is going to give you even about the people in the area. So again, this may not be something you want to include in your report. It can be removed. So in the top, it's going to give you your population, number of households, average age of people in that neighborhood. It's going to give you the gender. Again, some of this stuff I'm not quite sure how good this will be for your client if it's necessary. Marital status, I guess if they're looking for an area where there's a lot of single people, I guess this might be helpful, but honestly, I don't know if your clients would even really use this. Your housing summary market. The one thing that I do really like in here is your occupancy. This will show you the percentage of vacant homes in the area, how many have been rented, and how many are owner occupied. And if your client's thinking of making this a rental property, it does give you your average fair rents in the area. You go down further, it gives you quality of life, workforce, household income. It tells you commute method, weather, education, shows you how, high school, highest level attained. And again, not quite sure how useful this is, but it does give you schools, which is great. It does show you the school. It shows you how far from the house, what grades, how many students per teacher. So this to me is great information. And it uses School Digger, and it gives you their star rating, their customer rating on the actual school itself. So this I find is pretty good information. So this might be useful for them. And then it gives you businesses. So local businesses in the area. This might be good if your client's relocating from an area. This might be interesting for them. Okay. The next tab is a flood map. So this is going to open a flood map for you. Now these are newer. We didn't have these options before. So this one is this one obviously is not in a flood zone. So the house is over here. There's really no water in that area. It's showing an A zone, which there might be, I'm trying to think of the back. Yes, you know what? There is actually a creek in the very back, I believe. But my clients never had flood insurance on this, but you definitely want to double check this. So this is good information. Okay, so to the right of that, it's giving you hazards and risk. Again, another new tab we had before. There's a charge for this. So I haven't looked at it or used it yet, so I'm not sure exactly, but it does talk about crime in the area. So I guess if your client's interested or you're interested in giving this information, this is it's available with a price. Okay, so we've done quite a bit here with our things, with our actual tabs here. So I'm going to go back to my comparables at the top left. We've gone through everything that will be included. So let's look at the report. So in the top right of your screen, you have two options. You can either email the report or you can print it. So if you decide you want to print this, go ahead and you can hit print, because what it's going to do is actually just create a PDF for you. So under print, you have two options, quick print or customize. Quick print is just going to print everything for you. But if you go to customize print, this is where I said you can remove things you don't want to include for your client. So if I don't want to include my neighborhood profile, I can remove it. Or if I don't want to include my neighbors or the comparables or whatever it might be, obviously comparables you'll need, but you can remove these sections. So I'm going to keep everything in here. I'll keep it check marked so you can see the final report. It will take a minute or two to create it, but I'm going to hit proceed and you can see it's processing. And once it's done, it's going to create a PDF and it should save it on your computer. I probably have quite a large report because I'm sure there's quite a bit of comparables in my report. So the more comparables you have, a little longer it's going to take to create that PDF for you. So it should say completed. Once it's completed, you hit print. And you're going to notice it's downloading right now, the PDF here at the top right of my screen. So if you're using Google Chrome, it's probably going to be in the bottom left corner. I know that's typically where it drops your downloads. I believe the Firefox, I think, as far as I know, it should pull up in the top right, but it might be different on your computer. But go ahead and click on it once it's done. And I'm going to walk you through. And if you don't see yours, it's no problem. We'll walk through mine real quick just to take a look at it. Okay, so first thing you're going to see is your actual comparable report, your report on your, not your comparable report, but your actual report on the property itself. So when we selected Realist and it gave us all the criteria and information on the owner and taxes, that's what you're seeing here. So that's going to give you all your property details first. And once you get through the property itself, it's going to show you front picture and one photo inside, and then it starts showing you all interior photos here. So it's going to go through all your interior, which again, I feel is important for your client to see on other properties as well. And Cloud CMA does this as well, where you can see all interior photos. So I'm going to kind of scroll through this a little quicker. Just going to get to the next one because I have quite a few photos. Okay, now we're getting into our actual comparables. So here is my map, shows where the properties are located compared to my subject, my search criteria, my stats, and then here are your comparables. So just like the view we saw earlier, it's going to be the side-by-side view of each of the properties. So we'll go through those first. Here's my neighbors. It'll show which neighbors it pulled. Same thing, side-by-side. Go through all of those. My next section should be my neighborhood profile. Here it is. So now we get into our stats. All the stats here. And once you get through all that, that's the end of it. So if you want to print this at this point, you can go ahead and print it or just keep it saved on your computer. I'm going to close this screen up because it actually popped a new window open. So I'm going to close that out, go right back to my Realist dashboard. So in the top, you have the option to email. So if you want to email this, you can select email. Again, I always suggest customize view, so that way I can add or remove whatever I need to. Select proceed. Now this one will be a little different. This one's going to actually give you an email window, and I can email this directly to my clients. So if you would like to see the end result and you have yours open, go ahead and select this, and we will create an email right from here, and you can send it to yourself. I'm just waiting here for the PDF to generate. Just take a second here. Should be almost done. There it is. Okay. So once it's done, we're going to select Add to Email. So this window will pop up open for you, and it will say reply to, and it should have your email address. Your subject is Realist Report. Again, you can change this to whatever you'd like. And I have at the bottom here, you can see a signature. So you can type in a signature line, and it will include this each time in your emails, and you can save your signature. If you want to make sure this gets to your client, BCC yourself or CC yourself on this. That way you're getting copy and you could tell them exactly what came in. And you can, again, if you haven't sent yourself an email yet, you can see exactly what it looks like. It's a little easier to explain when your client calls and they can't find something or they're not sure what to look for. Okay, so I'm going to hit cancel on mine, but if you want to send yours, you're welcome to. And that should take care of it. Okay, so those are the two reports you can do. You can always go back. So if you get to this point, you decide you want to do some editing, you go to the top of your screen again, select Edit Report. Now it takes you back a step, and this is where you can go to your search criteria, make changes, or check mark or uncheck any of these items, in here as well. Okay, so this is everything that you do to create an actual comparable report in here in Realist. Now, what we did is we went through Paragon, selected the icon, little shortcut, and it brought us in. You can also go from your Paragon page from the tab and go into Realist and start on the main page. So we're going to do that next. So I'm going to go ahead and close this whole page out. So top of your screen, you should have a tab, or if you've got Chrome open, it might be at the bottom. But I'm going to close just my Realist tab, and I'm going to go back to my Paragon page. So now I want to take you into tax records from here so you can see what the view is from here and just running a search without it being listed, because a lot of times you're listing properties and it's not listed, or you haven't listed it, was listed maybe with another agent, but you don't want to use that information, or you want to pull it yourself. So we're going to go up to tax records here in the top, your tab, and we're going to go down to the second one down on the left, Realist Tax Search. So into tax and Realist Tax Search. And when this loads, this is going to be your main page when you first open up your dashboard. And you're going to see on the left side of your screen, the first thing you'll say is multiple counties selected and change county. So let's start off in there. You want to make sure you have all the counties selected that you might be possibly searching in, because if they're not, and you run a search, you're not going to find them. Now you can have, I believe, 12 selected. Yep, 12 it looks like now. It used to be 8 and they increased it, which is nice. So if you want to take a look real quick and see if there's any counties in here you'd like to add, on the right side of your screen where it says selected counties, these are already added in. If there's something in here you normally don't check or search, go ahead and click that X and you can remove it, and that will give you an option to run, to pull others. So just check mark whatever ones you'd like. I'll give everyone a minute or so here to just kind of go through them. And once you do have them, what we're going to do is make sure we save this. You know what, I'm drop saving on there too, since I have an option to add one more. To the right of your screen, underneath the selected counties, in the bottom right, there's an apply. So once you have the 12 selected that you'd like, and it doesn't have to be 12, but whatever one selected, you're going to select apply. So this will save it for you as a default. If you ever need to add more, you can just come back in and select change counties and add those in. Okay, so under there, you have two searches. You'll see two tabs. There's a quick search, which is what you're viewing. There's not a lot of options. Quick search in Realist is like quick search in Paragon. You're very limited to what you can search. So if you want to run a full search, and typically that's what I do, I go to my search, the tab to the right of it, and now it's going to load all your options in here. Now there's a lot more searching involved here, a lot more criteria, and you can save this where the other one you can't. So if you look in the top of your screen, first of all, it's save searches. When you do save them, they'll be in here, which you see I have a few saved in here. Below that, to the left, is customize search. So go ahead and click on customize search. And you have a lot of items here. You can actually select 30 search criteria boxes, and there's a lot in here. When you first load this is going to pull everything. If you want to go through each section, we'll go through each one in here. You can select what you'd like to show for search criteria boxes. Now, when you run the search, you're going to pull that full report, but in here is just criteria that you might be searching by. If you go to the left of your screen, under all categories, first one's owner information. Go ahead and left click on that. I like having an option to search by an owner name. I get calls and they're interested in one of my listings. They tell me they have a house to sell, but they don't give me an address. This is a great way for me to just run a search if I have their full name. So you can run it by last name or you can run it by their full name. So if you, whichever one you'd like, go ahead and check mark it. And again, as we go through this, if you see other items, just check mark what you'd like. To the left of that, underneath owner information, we got location information. So what do you want to use to run searches? So of course, address is important, city is important, zip code, you might want to run with that. If you want to pull by subdivision, if you're looking for a certain zoning in an area, or if you want to search just by street name. So you have all these options in here. Under location information is characteristics. So when you're running your search, what information are you going to fill in? So do you want square footage, which most people do, acreage, your basement type, bedrooms. Again, you can add in air conditioning, flooring, pool. I mean, there's a lot of options in here. This can be modified at any time. So when we save it today, it will save as a default, and then you can come back in and make changes as you want. If you make a change just for one search, you don't have to hit save as a default. You could just apply it for just that search. Okay, to the left again, under characteristics is your listing information. I like to search by my status if I'm looking for MLS records, and my list price sometimes my sold price, and obviously status date I want to search by. But if you go down under there on the left again, assessments and taxes. This is really good if you're trying to find properties that are just owner occupied, or if you're trying to find some that are not owner occupied. So this will give you options to just pull properties that have homestead. Now, is that 100% true? Not necessarily, because we know that not all owners, they don't go to the city and show that it's a rental property, not at all times, because again, there's a lot involved with inspections and so forth. Then it goes non-homestead and taxes go up about 25%. So sometimes it will be a rental property, but it's, the owner is still showing it as its owner occupied. On the left again, sale information. What do I want to search by? Do I want to search by price? I like to search by recording date, sale type. And then I'm going to go to the left again, foreclosures and distressed properties. Do you want to search those? Do you want an option for a box to fill those, fill information? I like to search sometimes just for foreclosures. And then on the left again, mortgage information. You can pull up lender names. So for example, if I want to put in, Chase Bank and see what they own, what they have, mortgages on, this is a way to do that with a lender name. Again, it might not be something you'll ever search, but you have that option. Okay, so once you have all that done, we're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to make this our default. So let's see here. I'm going to make this my search default. But I'm going to hit, once you hit save, and don't hit what I did, hit save, and then I'll apply it. Mine went back to my default search. So if you made any changes, make sure you hit save. If you don't want it as a default, just hit apply, and it just applies for just this search. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at what information we can fill in on the left and run a search. So I'm going to change right now your view. If you're looking at my screen, you have two views of your middle section here. You can do just the map, you can do just a list, you can do a split. So right now I'm on a list. If you look at the top right, there's a list view. That's what we're viewing. I can do the map view, which is just the map, and we're going to do a split, which is where I'd like it to be as I run a search for you. And on the left side of my screen, I'm going to go ahead and type in something just to find a property. So you can do it just by the property address if you'd like. So if you want to do that, or if you want to do it by your name to see what pulls up, you can do that. So let's go ahead and I'll put in the name and see if I can pull up. I can get it 12. So let's pull up Harris. Okay. So if you run this, like if I keep something that's very broad like Harris, you can look at the bottom here. I have 5,300 matches, which is a lot. So I probably don't want all that. So now if I put in another name to go along with that, so I will put on there what actually I'm going to do my client that we just pulled, because it might be easier to find. So you can put in whatever you'd like. Like say, if you want to just search yourself, you can. This might be an easier name to find because there's so many of these emails, I don't think. Okay, so this is a little bit better. So I've got 42 matches. If you're running a search by a city and you're putting in the address, make sure under address you're putting in the full address. So where's my address bar? So this is my street name, property, house number. There should be a full section here for address, and I may not have pulled that. So I can search it by just the house number, street name, and so forth. So when you put that in, you'll want to just put in, if you're pulling the full address, you'll put in the number, the street name, comma, the city, comma, state. Because if you don't, and you end up who knows where sometimes. Okay, and then once you have something in there for criteria, you just hit search and give it a second to load. Okay, so I pulled these listings. Now you can see here I've got my view is these, they call them cards. But if I want to go to like a one-line report, which I usually prefer, under my map on the right side, we're right now looking at the boxes. But if you click on it again, this box to the right, now I can see my one-line report. To me, it's just easier to be able to see everything and a lot more in one screenshot. Okay, so here's all the properties. So then you can find whichever one you're looking for. So I will just pull one of these properties here. Let's see. Township. So here's my client's home. Okay, so I can double click on it and it's going to open up my client's full property information. So just like we saw when we clicked on the icon to take us into Realist from the actual listing, this is the same thing. We are now right back to where we were from there. Again, took a little bit longer because we customized a few things and then ran the search, but you can search just any property you'd like. It will pull the information here. And if you want to run a report again, you would click on comparables and walk through all those steps again. Okay. But since we've done all that, and because of timing, I'm going to just go ahead and take you back. So again, let's go back to, I'm going to hit my back button here. And it's going to take me back to my screen, my dashboard screen here. Okay, so that is how you run your search on there. So now I want to show you items on your map. You can do all kinds of things with that map. So we're going to do the map a little bit here. So before I do, I'm going to clear everything I have, because if I don't, it's going to keep pulling all this information and it's hard to see your map. So the left side of my screen where I had all my search criteria, at the bottom it says clear all. I'm going to hit clear all. And then on the right side where I've got my split view right now, I'm going to change it to just a map view, because then it's easier for me to show you how to do things on a map in better view. So I'm going to go to the top here on the right, and it's going to be map. And if you still don't have enough space, which I would like to close this out a little bit more, let's see if I can find my little shortcut. There's a little shortcut here that will actually close your panel as well. And it's right here at the top. So to the right of change county, there's little arrows, a little bit hard to see, but if you left click on those, it's going to close out your search criteria box. So we're going to get rid of that right now, because we're going to focus just on the map. Okay, so on your map, first of all, you've got these icons here at the top left. On the right side, again, at the top right, you've got split, map, and list, and I'm on the map view. Under there is a plus and minus, so this will zoom you in or zoom you out. And you also have different views. Right now, we're viewing the road map. If I want to see a satellite view, I can select satellite. And I can zoom in so I can actually see things. And sometimes it takes a minute to load as well. You have a hybrid option, and you have terrain. Let's go back to our satellite view. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more and see if you can see anything. And it does take a minute to focus and get in there, but once you do, you should be able to see a lot more from a satellite view. Okay. When I'm drawing on my map, and we're going to be drawing on this map, I don't like using satellite. I like using my road, because I find it's just distracting with, trees and so forth. It's a little bit hard to see. So I usually go to my road map. I'm going to zoom back out. So I'm going to hit my plus and my minus a few times. Okay. And you can see right now, I just touched a property and it pulled information. So that's the nice thing about this, is if you don't have an address, kind of have an idea where the property is, you can click on these and find it that way as well. Okay, so the top left where all our icons are, we're going to go ahead and the first thing we'll do is we can relocate our map to a certain area. So if you want to move this, we can move this to a different location. So if you want to move it to city, zip code, a specific address, you can. So if you go to the top of your screen, you're going to click locate on map. It looks like it's the third one over. So clear all, your comments, your ruler, and then it's locate on map. Address underneath. So in here, you can put a city in. So let's just do, we'll do Shelby Township. Here we go. And you'll just want to put the city, comma, Michigan, and it should find it. If you want to do a zip code, you can, or a full address, you can. Just make sure there's commas in between. Okay. So that is going to locate on my map. So I just relocated this into Shelby Township area. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if you look to the left of those icons, the very first one on the left, you've got your drawing tools, which looks like a pencil. You're going to left click on that, and you have three options, just like Paragon. Your radius tool, which is your circle, your rectangle tool, which is your square or rectangular shape, and polygon, which will draw whatever shape you need to. So first one with your radius, you're going to left click on that. With the radius, you want to go from the center out. So wherever your center point is, you want to start, you're going to left click, and then you're going to move your mouse. And as you do, you can see it's creating a circular selection here on my map. Whenever you get to the point you want to stop, you left click again, and it creates it. It's going to give you how many it's finding. So you can see there's quite a bit, 6,800 results. So if I was going to run a search on this, it won't pull everything. You'll want to add criteria to this in order to find, whatever you're searching for in that area. So if I want to modify this map, the area itself, I can change the size. And all you're going to do is, whoops, that out again. Here. And it just removed it. Let me do this again. Sorry about that. So should I move my map? Let's see. Maybe move my work for me today here. Sorry. Oh, there we go. I could have moved the map. It did. So here we go. So if I want to modify the search at all, you can use these circles around it, and there's 4 of them, and it will allow you to resize. Whoops. And you should be able to highlight yours, and hopefully it is, because mine keeps wanting to. It keeps trying to search it. So you shouldn't be searching it. You should be able to just click on it, turns yellow, and then you should be able to modify it, because you can actually move it from the center. Oh, I don't even have to run the search. Okay. Usually you have to click on it. They must have made the change on it. You'd click on it, it would turn yellow, and then you'd be able to make modifications. But it looks like as long as you're touching like the center, it will allow you to move it. And then you see these double lines with the double arrows. You want to see those. So you're going to left click, and then I can drag it in, make it smaller, or I can make it bigger. Now, the circle shape, this radius shape, is the only one you can move. Once you create the other 2 shapes, your rectangle and your polygon, those cannot be moved. You can adjust the sizing, but this is the only one that can be moved around. Okay, so your next one, you're going to go back to the top left under your pencil, go to rectangle tool, and we're going to go ahead and go from corner to corner. So you're going to left click on your map. We're going to drag it out as far as you need to go. Left click again, creates your shape. And then this one's got a little bit more. You've got in the center and the corners that you can adjust the sizing. So I can go out this way, or I can go back in, whatever you need to do. If you notice when you click on it too, it gives you a name. You can name this. So if you have multiple maps you're drawing on here, you can rename it for maybe an area. Maybe I've got different cities. I can put Shelby Township, Macomb Township, whatever you want. Okay. And there's an option to delete in here as well. The last shape we're going to do, we'll go back to our pencil top left, polygon tool, and this will allow you to create whatever shape you need to. So I'm going to start over down here off of M59. I'm going to left click, move it, and every time you want to change the direction you're going to click. So you can make whatever shape you need to, and your start point is always your end point. Click again, and it creates it. Okay. So here's your 3 shapes. So again, you've got your radius, your rectangle, and your polygon. And again, you can notice, like I said, these 2, I can adjust as much as I want with the edges, but I can't move it. Okay, so those are our shapes. I'm going to delete these. So I'm going to go ahead and delete each one of my shapes. And all I'm doing is clicking on them once and then hitting delete. Okay, so let's go to our next tool. To the right of our pencil, you have these, looks like 3 pieces of paper, your boundary lines, and you can place lines on your map for whatever boundary you're looking for. Now, I have a default set for my parcels, and the reason I do this, and I'm going to zoom in to show you, and actually when you open this up, if you are zoomed out too far, sometimes you can't see results, and it will warn you, and it will give you this little magnifier. So if you're out too far, just hit the magnifier, and it should move you in, which this one does not want me to, so I think I'm going to have to do it on this side here. So it should take me right in. So I can, as I'm moving in, you can notice lines are coming in. These are my parcel lines. So if I want to get more information on a property and I don't know the address, this is a great way to go in there and just click on these. So if I want to see ownership or any information, I just left click on it. It will give me information on the owner, tax ID, any records it has, sales date. There will probably be a report in there that you can pull up. Ruler, if you want to zoom in and see the actual dimensions. This is great if you have vacant land. I've used this a few times. And let's find another one here. And this does a quick zoom for you. And then your report is actually going to give you your full property detail report again. Okay, so I'm going to hit back here on the top left, and it will take me back a step. So all I did here again was just left click on any of my parcels. So if you want different boundaries set up in here, if you go up to your boundaries at the top again, and so maybe now I want to see schools. This is really good if your client's looking for a specific school district. You can select school district. You need to zoom out to be able to see all of them, obviously because I'm too close. But as you zoom in or out, you should be able to see. This is Utica Community Schools, so you can adjust that. You can select if you don't want all the school district, you just want to find out high schools districts. Go ahead and click on that. And this is going to, I'm going to zoom out because you probably won't be able to see it from here. Should give you the lines of the houses that are within each of these schools. So if you've got a client that has to be within a certain school district because their daughter's going to be a senior, for example, this is a great way to see where those houses will fall under. And let's see if we can get this to load it all. Click on it again. Let's see. Sometimes it takes a minute here. Close that out. But it should draw purple lines for you with high schools. You know what? While it's doing that, I'll draw in the other schools and just see if we get all the different color lines start showing up. Just bear with me here. It's going to take a second, it looks like. So it should be loading lines. So you should see the lines for each specific school, whether it's Eisenhower, Utica High School, or Henry Ford. It should show those lines. And so then you can see which homes are within that area. Okay, well, this doesn't want to load today, and I'm not sure why it's giving me a problem. So let's look at something else. Let's do flood zone. Let's see if we have better luck with flood zone. Let's see if these boundaries are going to work for me here today. And if you look at the bottom, whenever you select anything in here, it does give you some type of color code at the bottom, so you can see, what those colors are going to be. And this should actually put the lines in wherever there's flood zone. So let's see if there's water. We should be seeing some flood zones here. Well, I hope everyone else's is running better than mine, and they're seeing options here, because this is giving me a little bit of a hard time here loading. And sometimes if it's not, you have to zoom in or zoom out, but it should tell you. So I'm going to have to check into that, but that should be pulling up. So hopefully all of you are seeing it. I'm just hoping it's mine. It's just my Wi-Fi or something that's not, it's giving it a second to load. So let's go to the next one and see if this continues to give us a problem. We'll try to figure this out here. So to the right of your boundaries, these are your different statistical things that you can actually, they'll color your map and show you different things that you can select. So for example, I can do sales activity in the area. I do like this number of homes in foreclosure. So if I select that, and then it's going to give you your level, whether it's zip code or neighborhood, and then what type of properties. So you can do condos, houses, or both. And then it gives you an opacity scale. So you should be able to load this, whether it's darker and lighter. But again, this should shade it light blue, and you should be able to see the different, the different ones. So we're going to skip this done, and we're going to go to the next one. So let's go to our binoculars. Binoculars are points of interest. So if I want to see where the school is in an area, you can select education, and it should drop graduation caps all over your map. So if you see any little maps or these little graduation caps, you can click on them, and it should tell you what school that is. So this is working. It just seems like the other ones did not want to work today. So this will give you whatever school is in the area, and it could be any type of school. It could be an adult, community center. It could be, a kids preschool. So it will tell you which school it is. So again, this is helpful if you're looking at a property and trying to see where the school is compared to the property. So points of interest are the binoculars. We're going to turn that off. To the right of that, you've got your little car, which will give you driving directions. So I can put a start point to an end point and get directions. And then to the right of that, we can locate on our map. We can move our map to whatever location. Ruler, again, this allows you to do a measuring tool in here. So if I click on my measuring tool, let's see if it's highlighted. I gotta do it one more time. This will give you a way to measure from one. Let's see if I got it. Okay. It draws a line. So if I want to measure, say, from the house is here and maybe the school is here, it will give you your measurement on here, and you should be able to select it, which is touchy, and it should give you the distance. You can get it to do that. There it goes. Okay. So right here, my total length, so it tells you about how many feet it is. So it's a measuring tool. Again, I'm not sure if it's something you would need, but. And then you have these bubbles. So I can actually do an annotation tool, which allows me to, It allows you to draw on your map. There it is, a little bubble, and then you can make a note. So if I wanted to send this to my clients, for example, the map, this will allow me to put some bubbles. Maybe I want to highlight certain things on the map that I want to show them, you know, this is a house, this is the high school, this is whatever it might be. So you can do these little annotation tools. So I'll go ahead and delete that. Okay, so that is pretty much everything on the map. Is there any questions on this before I get into the next section with you? Is everyone following along okay? Again, I'm hoping that your page is loading better than mine. I apologize that you're not able to see anything that I was trying to put on here, but it should have given you, did we miss, let's see, did I take it to, oh, you know, we did miss one thing. If you go to the top left of your screen again to the right of boundaries, it must not have opened. I must have accidentally hit stats. You have an option here to pull like distressed properties. So if I want to see in the area if there's any short sales, for example, if you left click on that, which hopefully there isn't because those things are horrible. I mean, they're great for buyers, but if you're working short sales, back in the day, they took so much time. Now they're probably not anywhere near the timing it was before, but I had some that take a year to get approvals. Let's do bank owned as well, and bank REO sales. Let's see if anything pops up. So the color that you see here next to each one is what will pop up on your screen, and at the bottom you can see those as well. So let's see if we can get any of these to pop. Now, if you don't see them, the nice thing about your map is if you drag it around, it will relocate it, and it will continue to load whatever selection you have. So if you have foreclosure selected, then it should load them if it finds any. Remove my school districts because now it did load my school districts. Okay. Let's just see if anything else pops up. So again, just look for those little, oh, here they come. I was going to say there had to be some. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Again, I apologize. So if you look here, these little icons here, I've got a purple one here, which is a short sale, believe it or not. So I'm going to left click on it, and now I can get the information. So here's a property address, name of owner, tax ID, sale date was 2013, the sale price, and then you can pull a report. So this might be one if you're looking for something that's, you know, possible short sale or foreclosure. This might be a great way to find some too in here, and then look up those addresses and get more information about them. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to take a look. I'm going to clear everything in here. I'm going to show you how you can run mailers next. So let's clear. I want to make sure everything's cleared on here. So when you're running your mailers, you can draw on your map and create an area, and it will pull all those properties for you. Okay, so in order to run a search, you have to open up your search criteria box again, and then we want to see results. So we're going to open up our list view. So a couple of things we're going to do. So first thing we're going to do is go to the top right of my screen where I had the view of just the map, and we're going to go back to split. So I go back to split view now. Now I can see my results in the bottom. Then I need to open up my search criteria box. So if you go to the left of your screen, there's a magnifier right here. And we're going to click my search again. And now we're going to fill in some information. If you want to put in just a city, you can, or a zip code, you can pull it that way. If you want to just do it on the map here, what you're going to do is locate the map to wherever you want to go. So we're going to go back to our little locate map here, which is the fourth one over. Type in what area you're looking for. So I'll just do zip code just to move me over to Shelby Township. Oops. And once you put that in, you do need to select the area below. Okay. Now it's moved to there. I can close that out. And then if you are running maybe just sold, you'll want to locate the map and go right to the property you sold, which actually would be better because then you can go around it. So if I do my 2315 John, now I can send out my just sold flyers to the neighbors and everyone in the area. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and you're going to want to draw, and usually I'll use the polygon shape I find in here so I can pick up whatever I need to. Oops. So I'll go into my polygon tool, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I just want to get around that street. So I'll start over here. I'm going to click, go down as far as you want to. So we'll go over to Shenandoah, go down a few streets, and back over and back to my beginning to create my shape. So there's my shape. Okay. So now I can just hit search on the left side. So whenever you're drawing maps and you're trying to run a search on the map itself, you have to hit your search criteria box to see the results. So I'm going to hit this one here. So you can pull those properties. And then if you notice below, here they are. So the properties that they have these icons here, these actually, the red is sold, your green is active. If something's active, you're probably not going to want to send a mailer to them, but you can send to your solds depending, I guess, on the date. So you might want to look at what the date is. If they just sold it, they may not want to, list it again. But some of these, this is 2020, 2011, so you could still use those. Everything's check marked. Right now, I have 297 results. So if I want to create labels for this, so I can do a mailer, and this is free, you can go down to the below your list screen here. You're going to go below that. There's a print, email, and labels. Okay, so if you select labels, it's going to give you an option to do whichever label you want. Typically, your mailing address labels is that Avery 516 5160. It doesn't have to be the Avery though, because I bought some of the non-brand ones, and they're the same thing. They're 30 up on a page, 10 on each row, and they usually fall within the lines it should. Use mixed case. That means I want upper and lower letters. If you want it all in caps, you can. Do you want to use a tax billing address or you want to use a property address? Well, if it's a tax billing address, that means if it's a rental property, it's going to the owner's property that he's living in now, he's currently occupying, instead of it going to the address where the tenant's going to throw in the garbage. So I usually like using the tax billing address. You can also show on there, show current owner. We probably don't want foreign addresses, eliminate duplicate labels, or you can create a custom label and include what you want in it. You can use, what you're going to do is you're going to use all of them to export them unless you want a range of them. So if you don't want all 300, almost 300 at the same time, you can put, the first 1 to 5 to test it, or 1 to 30 to test your first sheet. You are allowed 5,000 labels per month for free. There's no charge for this. So if you don't want to have to pay for addresses and names, this is a great way to be able to pull them yourself, and there's no charge. Once you hit create though, it will deduct those numbers out of your 5,000. Now, I don't know many people that do 5,000 a month, but I'm sure there are, but I don't. So I could easily, create this, it's not a problem. But again, if you're just testing it out, you can do create once and use it, or if you need to go back and make adjustments, you can. So I'm gonna hit cancel on this. You can also export this list. So I'll do my labels, but then you might want to export it to customize report to a CSV file, so that way it's you can keep track of what's going on. And this will let you include whatever you would like. So if you want just the name, their address, city zip, if you want any other information, it will give it to you. If you want like a sales date or whatever it might be, you can include that as well. Then you'll hit export, that'll take it into your Excel spreadsheet. And then you can also print and email this list as well. So again, this is a great way if you want to farm an area, you want to do some solds, whatever it might be. But this is a great free way to get some more business. So love the label thing. So again, all I did was I drew on my map, hit my search, and the results came in. Anything you don't want to include, just uncheck. So it's that simple. Okay, so we have gone through everything in our map. We've done our mailing labels. You know how to run a CMA. So we've done pretty much everything in here right now. What I'd like to do is take you through and customize a few things. But before we do, if there's any questions or anything you want me to show you again, please let me know. I know sometimes I talk fast, so hopefully I didn't go through everything too fast for you. But just Deb, let me know if there's anything else I need to cover before we go into customizing our Realist.
Yep, if we have any questions, I will let you know.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go ahead and customize. So in here at the very top, you can see you've got just a Realist where we're at, our dashboard. To the right of that, this is where you sign out, it has your information. You've got a cart, I'm assuming if you pay for some of the additional things in here. This little thing here is your order. So if you're adding items in here to purchase, like that one tab we looked at earlier, your favorites go in the star. And then this is your settings to the right of that. So we're going to go under settings, and we're going to customize these sections real quick here. So under search options, first thing is if you open up a search and there's only one result, do you want to open up into the full detailed report, or do you just want that one-line report? Mine is on my one-line report, so I don't have this check marked, but if you want to see the full property detail report, you can. So just check mark that. When I do mailing labels, do I want to include mailing labels that are on the do not mail list? Again, there's the do not mail, do not call list. So if you don't want those showing up in your mailing labels, then keep it unchecked. Do you want to include unmatched sales transactions? So if I put in my search criteria and there's a few that don't match perfectly, do I want to see those? Which I don't. I want to see whatever I have in my criteria. And the maximum number of properties to view in a result grid, you can go up to 3,000. I think I might set it 1,000 because then you're scrolling forever to get down there. Okay, so that's your search options first. Our next section is going to be reports on the left. So select reports, and we'll go through and make changes and then save it. Your report display, so you have two options. You have fixed and dynamic. Fixed will show all of the boxes. Dynamic, if there is a box that doesn't have anything in it, so for example, if it says square footage and there's nothing in there, it's empty, it won't show square footage. I like to include everything so I can see what information Realist has on a property, but if you don't, if you don't want to include that and just have it remove those items, you can. Your comparable reports. How many comps do you want to see? So this is your search criteria. So do you want to see up to 50, whatever number? How do you want it to sort? So when it pulls up those results, your first one is going to be closest to square footage, closest to the property, most recent sale, or by sale price. Do you want to include your property images? Do you want to include the value projected by assessments and by square footage? And do you want to include that real AVM? Again, any of these can be turned off. This is going to be your default, and then you can always turn them back on if needed. I keep pool as no preference, and I'll adjust those as needed. My distance, so you can do your comparable distance for the comps, 1 mile, 3 miles, up to 10. So depending what type of area you work in, you can adjust that for your default. All of these items, I don't like to adjust except individually for my properties because I'm not going to have a sale price I'm always searching or year built and so forth. So I'm going to keep those all open. I want to always include all tax sales. My boundaries, where do I want to include if there's a preference? So same subdivision, same zip, whatever. I keep mine as no preference and adjust it as needed. Same thing with my sites. That way, if it's a water property, I could select it. I like seeing my date type by sales date, not the recording date. And again, you can go back up to a year. For my square footage, what do I want to show? So I want 20% above and below my subject property square footage. That's how I would like it to find the results. Same thing with lot area. You could put none on this, which is what I'm going to keep. Your land use, you can just put save and subject in there and then add single family or condo, as needed. Or you can, if you're doing more houses, you can put single family and then just add condo as needed. Style, I keep empty. Okay, next is your neighbor report. How many comparables do you want to see? I said at 20, you can see up to 30. What's the distance? So how far do you want to go around the property? You can go up to 3 miles. So if you want to go just a mile, you can. What's the boundaries? I like the same subdivision, but you can do same zip or same city. And of course, I'm going to include all my property images, whatever they have. My neighborhood profile report. How far do I want to see the schools and the businesses? How many do I want to see in each category? So for example, for businesses, do I want to see 10 results? I can go up to 25. And then what type of businesses do I want to show? So here on the right is what's included. So hospitality, pet services, shopping, again, anything you don't want, all you have to do is just hit the X and it will remove it. So if I want to remove a farm in the area, organizations and associations, maybe I want to, whatever it might be, you just X those out. And then if you want to add on the left, you can add whatever you need to. Okay. And then schools. How far do you want to go away from the subject property? I've got 2 miles. Do you want to see public and private? And what type of schools do you want to show? Again, anything on the right you don't want to show, you can exit out. Anything on the left you want to add, you can add it just by clicking on it. Okay, so that is all we have for our reports. The next one on the left is email signature. If you didn't add your email signature earlier when we did the email section, you can type in your name here, whatever information you want to give. So when you do hit email, when you're running that comparable report, this will automatically pop up in your message. So that way you don't have to type. So that I find sometimes any shortcuts for me that saves time, I'm all about it. So if you want to type in your name and stuff in here, you can. It doesn't give you an option to add a logo or a photo, but it's just at least gives you your name and phone number or whatever else you'd like to add. So if you want to take a second to add that in, I'll give everyone a minute to do that. And you can adjust the color too as well, and the font and size. So you can type it all up and then just highlight, change it to whatever you'd like there. Okay. So that is our email signature. And the very last thing is very simple. It's one button left, is our parcels. If you'd like the lines for your parcels to show up every time you open up your map, just check mark that. It might be already as a default, but I like mine on because then I can just click on a property and see information. I can see where the property lines are and so forth. Okay, so if you are good with all the changes, and again, you can always come back and make a change again, save changes in the bottom right corner of your screen. So make sure you hit save changes. That'll save all your defaults. And if you want to come back again to make a change, you just hit your gear at the top. And then the last thing on here is this question mark. So this question mark will give you some help guides. And again, Debbie put in your attachments on the right side of your screen our handouts, which are step-by-step guides, and we try to put photos in when we can too. So just anything to make it a little bit easier for you to walk through this again. Okay, so that is everything in Realist. So I think we've covered everything. And again, Debbie, if something came up, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to take everyone to BS&A next. So if we will go back to Paragon, and then we're going to go into our BS&A. So if looks like I don't see anything for chats as well. So hopefully everyone's following along, or I didn't lose everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into Paragon, and let's go take a look at BS&A records so you can see what you're able to do there. Okay, so top left of your screen, your tab should be open. If you were in Chrome, it should be probably on the bottom somewhere or minimized somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and go to BS&A directly from this property I had open. If you want to run another property, you can. Go ahead and just type in the address. So we're going to go directly from the listing itself. So I'm going to go to my little red, I'm sorry, not my red this time. We did Realist. We're going to go into our blue one so we can go into BS&A. So go ahead and click on your pillar / garbage can, whichever you'd like to call it. So that should take us into our BS&A records. And it should load this property specifically by going directly from my tax record, or from my listing itself going to tax records. Okay, there it is. So it is now pulled up this property. It actually has a new owner's name on it. Photo is, they were building it, so they don't have an updated photo in there. But if I go through this, you're going to see your property ID number at the top, and you've got these 4 tabs here. So your first tab is your property information, owner information, taxes, their previous year information for tax records. This I find is important is your homestead. Is it homestead or non-homestead? So this one is home. Land information. And go down further, your legal, sales history. And it's sometimes I find that I get more information on Realist with sales history and mortgage information than I do in BS&A. So like I said, I always check both. Next is your building information, square footage, area details. This is really good too when you're typing up your listing, and it will ask you what is the square footage in the basement. Well, you can find it right here, which is really nice. So, and then plumbing, fireplace, garage information, porches. Go back to the top where my tabs are under the photo. The next one to the right is my tax information. This is going to pull way back for tax records for you. So I got my owner information, legal, and then I go down a little bit further here, and now here's my tax history. Now each one of these will actually show your millage, and it breaks everything down. So their summer tax bill is $38.99. If I click this arrow to the left, now I can see my school district code, my taxable value, their homestead, their SEV, assessed value as well, last payment, last receipt, the admin fees. So you can see how they're calculating to come up with those tax records. So I find this is really good information. So your summer and your winter tax bill, same thing. It does give you an option to recalculate a payment date, but this is this will show you if your payments is. And now it's not going to show you if it's reassessed. It's going to show you, what if you recalculate whatever date you're paying on it, what your taxes would be. Okay, so to the right of that, if you go back up to tax information, to the right, building department. This is great if the house has had any construction remodeling done. This will show you if permits have been pulled, if permits were actually approved or they were not. So this is really good information here. You can view the actual permits. So this one, they had the approach done. If I click on view, this was back in 2005. Let's see if it's going to open it for me. It looks like it's trying to download it. So that should download a PDF or open up a PDF for you, each one of these. And then it gives you more information what it was. Also, enforcements under there, this is also good information if they were tagged for something. So it looks like this one was just tagged general complaint. Interesting. And this just, it finally opened the other one. So this was the one, the building department one that I pulled earlier in 2005. And it gives you a description. So it shows on here exactly what was done to the house. Basement storage only, non-habitable. So it looks like they were finishing up the basement. Backfill per grade. I mean, it gives you a lot of details information here. So there's a lot of stuff in here you can do and take a look at who the applicant was, who actually did the work on it, which is really good information too. Okay, so let's go back because I want to go back to look at that enforcement. So let's go back to record details. I'm really curious what they were tagged for. Okay, so if you go down further, let's go back to our enforcements. Here it is, general complaint, view. Okay, there it is. Result. Just says completed, doesn't give you what the information is. It looks like it was an ordinance. It could have been them not, I'm wondering if it was like grass cutting or not hanging the garbage out when they're supposed to. So I'm sure it was something simple, but so it does show you if there is any. So, okay, so we went through our permits and building information enforcements. If there's any attachments, you can see those below. And then the last thing on here is your water bill. If you click utility bill information, we know that the water bill is attached to the house. So if they're not paying their water bills, there's a lien on the property. So this is a great way to see if they have some large amount due, which they don't. They have been paying their bill. And it shows what the bill was. If you open this up, it shows what they were being charged. And the bill calculated, and you can actually print receipts right from here. But it will show you if there's any issues with their water bill, or if there's they had a tenant in there that didn't pay and they have some $2,000 outstanding balance or so forth. So this is good information too. Okay, so that's everything in BS&A. Now at the top here, you can see I can run another search in here by typing another address, and you have an option by address, by name. If you have a client that tells you they live in an area and you don't know, let's just pull. If you don't know the property address, you can just type in a name and it will try to locate it for you in that city. Okay, so this is everything in here. So I think we're pretty good. You also have an option to select a different municipality at the top here under municipalities. Takes you back to your main page. When you go to tax records, or when you go to tax tab in Paragon and you select BS&A, this is what your view is. It'll bring you to this. Then in here, you're going to select your county. So if I go to Macomb County, which it's right here, then I can select which one in Macomb County that I want to search. So if I want Sterling Heights, I can click Sterling Heights. Takes me there. Now I can enter an address or a name. So it's not giving me an option for address and parcel number for some reason, but you can type that in and it will find it for you. Okay, that's everything in BS&A. So I think we have covered everything pretty quickly here. Since we haven't had any questions, it was easy to keep going, and obviously some things didn't load, unfortunately, so that took away from that. So is there anything else I can show you or answer or go through again? We have time, so I'm happy to answer any questions or show you something again, especially if I went through it too quickly or maybe I missed something. So you can go ahead and chat. You can put your hand up because then we can unmute you as well. So whichever you prefer. Again, please don't forget to download the PDF under handouts on the right side of your screen or in your little box there. Alrighty, so I think we're good. Deb, is there anything you need to go over? Anything I missed?
No, as usual, you covered so much information in this, and that's why I love that cheat sheet that you created. And don't forget, everybody, all of our cheat sheets are in Paragon at the very, very top. Just click on the link called MLS Documents, and then go to the folder called MiRealSource Education, where it has a lot. I just added a few more cheat sheets in there recently, which I'll be emailing the membership, letting them know all of those updates.
I think we're good. So again, if there's anything else we can help you with, obviously, our tech support, and you can come to these classes as often as you'd like. So if you need another refresher, you're welcome to. And again, you can let us know if there's any other questions, but I think we're good. So Deb, I think we're good for today. So if there's anything else you need, let me know. Otherwise, everyone have a great day. Thank you for joining us for the class. Hope it was helpful. So.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Deb. Everyone have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.